Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All right, all of our guests today are brought to you by Quinsam Communications Group. That includes Thomas Drance standing by. Quinsam, located in Campbell River. For more information, visit quinsamcommunications.ca. Quinsam Communications Group, connecting people through technology. I'm getting the hurry up signal again from Ryan Henderson, so we'll get right to Thomas Drance in the wake of the Canucks' first victory of the regular season. 5-4 over the Kraken down in Seattle. Thomas, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you, Donnie. Rick, not so much.
Why?
What's your problem?
You tweeted this out. What problem do you have with Rick?
What?
I gotta tell you about working with Rick. So Rick calls me while I'm walking my dog this week, Donnie. Okay, can you believe this guy? He calls me while I'm walking my dog. We're having a nice chat. I get a call from an agent. I look, I check, I see that it's the agent. I'm like, yeah, but I'm talking to Rick. I'll call him right back.
Nice.
I keep talking to Rick. Seconds after I decline the call, Rick goes, oh, and he says the guy's name, and he says he's calling me. He didn't land me, so he called Rick right away. And I said, that's funny. He just called me. And Rick says, well, it must be important then. And he takes the call.
I took the call. It was an agent. It was an agent, Thomas, and you know it.
Yeah.
Ask Taylor. I cut him off all the time for agents. All the time.
It was the same agent who just called me, and I told you, oh, wow, he just called me. And then you're like, oh, well, then I better take it. Ridiculous. Terrible manners.
Every single time I will cut you off for an agent, and you know it, Thomas. You know it.
That is awful form. Just
every
really
single time.
brutal.
You are done if an agent's calling.
Yeah. Welcome to my world, Thomas.
Unbelievable, this guy.
Hey, it is. Do the Canucks care about style points after getting their first win of the season? It was scrappy.
I liked it. I mean, they had worse manners than Rick Dhaliwal when they showed up to Seattle. Fought 3 times. Look, there were things I really liked about the game, okay? I really liked that Tanner Pearson, stood up for Sheldon Dries. I liked that JT Miller got so fired up by Tanner Pearson fighting that he decided to follow it up. You could see the smile on his face as he went to the penalty box, just having a good time. I liked that. I think the club needed something a little different. They needed to bring something different, and they did it. I thought it helped set a tone. And, Kyle Burrows fights later. Bo Horvat tried to fight Vince Dunn on the next shift. Probably a little fortunate that Vince Dunn declined his invitation, seeing as how Ilya Mikheyev opened the scoring on the ensuing rush. Sometimes you just need to change it up. The Canucks did that in Seattle. I liked that part of it. I liked their last 10 minutes. I liked the fact that they really didn't surrender much after getting ventilated for some good scoring chance. Sorry, my dog's trying to get me to play with them. I liked that. I liked the last 10 minutes, other than the a high sticking goal, which never was going to count. They were clearly in control, not under a ton of duress. And I liked the shot blocking at the end. I liked the way that Canucks players battled overall. What I didn't particularly enjoy was the way that the Seattle Kraken sort of ventilated them, routed them in the neutral zone, controlled play pretty soundly. And that's, to me, a big thing here. And here's why. The Canucks need to win 4 of their next 5 and get the 5th game to overtime just to get back to 500, right? That's what it's going to take. That's the size of the hole they've dug for themselves. They're going to need to win 10 of the next 13 to be in a playoff spot in this conference by American Thanksgiving. They've dug themselves a big hole. And while I'm happy for Canucks players and I liked some of the way they grinded out those 2 points in Seattle, in the big picture, if you play like that most nights, you're not coming away with 2 points, and the Canucks need to get on a run, right? Their style of play was consistent or was sufficient to break the duck to get in the win column. Kudos to them. Tip of your cap. But if you're going to rack up the types of wins that this team needs to rack up, if you're going to stay the hand of management from making significant changes, the significant changes this club simply has to make, regardless of last night's outcome, you're going to have to play a lot better in terms of controlling play than what they managed in Seattle on Thursday evening.
Yeah, okay, so Thomas, let's talk about changes. Trade last night. They're in on Ethan Bear this morning. They're still in. They're one of the teams in on Ethan Bear. I can confirm that 100%. Their pursuit for a defenseman is going to continue. The urgency is there to get a defenseman. Do you see a big move coming, Thomas, or do you see, like last night, not a huge move, but a move?
Yeah, and I mean, I saw a lot of criticism of that trade because the club had traded their top right-handed prospect, right?
Yeah.
In Jonathan Myrenberg. But saying Jonathan Myrenberg's the club's top right-handed prospect is like saying Donnie's the best host on this show. Not a lot of competition, right?
I'll remember that. I'll remember that.
So, I mean, Donnie's a legend in his own right. It's just
there's no question. No question.
The comparison isn't, what sort of makes him special. Myrenberg's status as the top right-handed defenseman in the Canucks prospect system says a lot more about the Canucks prospect system.
Yes,
look, trading
exactly.
for Ethan Bear, I like the player, right? Like, I like the mobility. I like the hockey IQ, but I also see Ethan Bear as a 4-5, like not a needle-moving guy, kind of consistent with some of the other players that this team has brought in on the blue line, and Dermott and Stillman. And, another thing he has is a relatively high contract number, right? I mean, it's $2 million plus. I can't remember it off the top of my head. It might be 2.3. So, those are not just third pairing guys, but they're kind of expensive third pairing guys. I know they're in the right age range, but
that's it.
You're not going to get, like, the way to make a defense better is by bringing in guys at the top and bumping guys down, right? Like, what you want is to find the right sort of guy who can, make Tyler Myers not your number one RD, and, find a lefty who can make it so that Oliver Ekman-Larsson doesn't have to play 27 minutes last night. That pair struggled in my mind, even though the Canucks grinded out the win and they played huge minutes. Like, there were long sequences where the Seattle Kraken had that pair pinned in the game yesterday, right? Like, one of this team's issues right now is that their top pair is not really playing like a top pair. And so I just don't see how you solve that by sort of rearranging deck chairs at the bottom end of your defense core. It's going to take more than that. It's going to take significant cap space. Like, the deals that are going to fix this are deals that send money out, not bring money in attached to sort of hopeful bets for 4 or 5, quality defensemen. That I just don't see why. I don't even see the appeal there unless you're sending significant money out or unless it's basically free. And we know it's not going to be. The Carolina Hurricanes don't operate that way. So, I don't understand the logic from a Canucks perspective unless there's money going out.
Yeah. And Thomas, quickly now, what are you seeing so far this season when you watch Thatcher Demko play? His save percentage is under 900.
Yeah, I mean, I thought last night was actually one of his worst games, to be totally honest with you. I thought the point shot goal that the Kraken scored to open the scoring and the Jared McCann goal that he couldn't quite glove, those were goals that went through him. Aside from, like, the Rasmus Dahlin point shot goal and the Ovechkin goal on the power play, like, I don't know that there have been a lot of other goals this season that have matched that description. Last night, it felt like he was getting punctured a little bit with goals that were really, truly going through his body. For the most part, though, I don't think that's been characteristic of his performance this season. I think he's been fine. I don't think he's on the top list of the top 5 problems affecting this team. I think the save percentage is low and will come up, but the Canucks are surrendering so much high quality stuff. And for the most part, he's not getting beat by the stuff he shouldn't get beat by. So, I'm not worried about him, but he has started 7 of 8 so far. If he starts 8 of 9, I think that would be a really desperate posture for this club to take this early in the season. Again, the pace you have to play at 100+ point pace here to be in the playoff conversation at the end of the season. You need the 2 points tonight for sure, but you also need, a lot of 2-point nights over the balance of the rest of the year, keeping Demko fresh with the long view in mind, and not just this season, but beyond, considering his importance to this franchise. To me, it's a no-brainer. I think it would be a real sign of weakness, desperation, panic. Dare I say panic for this club to go back-to-back with Demko this early, even if it's a short travel from Seattle. Like, it just doesn't make sense this early in the season.
Okay, we'd keep going here, but Rick's getting a call from an agent.
I got a call. We got to cut you off.
Yeah.
We got to cut you off. We got a call. I got a call from an agent.
Thanks,
that sounds typical of you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, boys.
I can relate. Thanks, Thomas. Thomas Drance from the Athletic. Canucks beat the Kraken 5-4